right, is that intro better? Our friend sent that to me. He's like, he heard the people didn't like it. I found the original, and I'm like, okay, I uploaded it. So there you go. That's the improvement. There you go. Like, oh, I don't like that one either. Said something better then. I don't have time. All right, so I do have somewhat of not a fascination with movies, but I have a philosophical interest in them because they take a time, they take commitment, they take some money, and it takes the best time you got, which is free time. Like you're supposed to have fun, and the movies that they've been coming out with in Hollywood is absolute dog shit, and it puts people in bad moods. And it's so bad. The movies. If you remember movies when we were kids, you look at the movie came to town. There was one movie. You go see it. It was, and if you were in a smaller town, you had two theater. Maybe two screens at one theater. You go see whatever. But it was like okay, wasn't the worst thing ever. Now they're just political. It's propaganda. No one wants to go see propaganda. And so this one cherished aspect of fun globally has been shat upon by Hollywood. And so because your free time is your most valuable time, that's what life is about, is your free time, having fun, enjoying life. I think movie reviewers who are honest, not shills for Hollywood, do the Lord's work in saving people literally billions of humans of hours time over the year. I mean, we're talking um serious standards of living being affected and serious time and consequently potential labor being saved. Because if you get, say, 100 million people, you convince them not to go see a movie, that's 200 million hours of either fun or labor. And so I do my little bit here to save you guys some time, or to say, oh yeah, go ahead and see it. So I watched the two Extraction movies. They never made it to the theater. I'm curious why not. And Extraction 1 was nothing but excellent. Excellent. Yes, I had some issues with it. And by the way, I will not be doing any spoilers, but just, but there's not really much to spoil in Extraction 2. Hey, a bunch of people shoot each other. There you go. Oh, I ruined it. So I saw Extraction 1 at the recommendation of several people, and I was shocked how good it was. I was. I'm like, well, how isn't this a movie? And if you want to know, I'll give you the background so you understand what it is. Chris Helm, the Australian, I guess. I thought he was Scandinavian. He just played a Scandinavian. Apparently, he's Australian. He plays ex special ops guy, and his expertise is to extract people. And so there is a drug war going on between the Indian, Asian, not American, Indian drug lord, the drug lord of India, and the Bangladeshi drug lord of Bangladesh. And the Bangladesh drug lord kidnaps the Indian drug lord kid. And they say, we got to get him out of there for reasons, because maybe he likes his kid. And then they hire Chris Helm, Tyler Rake. So you find out that he's not this solo act. He's got a team behind him. The team is pretty cool. It's got this really good looking gal. I was like, whoo, hello. How are you? Got that look. And she just loves him and adores him, but he lost his wife and he's all depressed and sad, has nothing to live for. Lost his kid, blah, blah, blah. And he appreciates it, doesn't treat her like crap. He's just like, yeah, just whatever. Her brother, who's kind of a funny character on the side, but they got this top-notch team. You don't know how they formed. That's all right. Not required for the movie, but they got resources. They got assets, and they're a team, and they get the extract or the exfil or the X something. They get them out. Like, we'll provide you support. And so they send him into Bangladesh to go find the kid. He finds the kids, the bad guys find out, and then it's how do you get, that's the movie, is him getting out. So it's all action. Pretty straight up action flick. And so one, that's good. There wasn't no strong independent womans. The girl in this, she's a badass, but she ain't beating the crap out of anyone. She's not roundhouse kicking chick cop show. She's the kind of the brains of the outfit a little bit. Well played. But in addition to just straight up shoot 'em up flick, the kid, he's the son of a drug lord. He ain't exactly had it either. And him and the main character, Chris Helm's character, as he's trying to get this kid out of town, obviously they have some commonalities and they kind of form a friendship in the short amount of time that they have. And I was like, wow, they're having a conversation. The kid now, okay, the kid is playing a 14-year-old. I don't know how old the actual actor is because I was like, that's impressive for a young kid. I'm like, well, maybe the actor is just a young looking 25-year-old. But the actor, a very good actor, by the way. I was like, well, and if he's younger, God bless him because you did an outstanding job. Is it exactly the way I'd write it? They have like this moment where the guy tells the kid keeps asking him questions and he's got to tell him about the background. It's a little odd, but it did the job. They built some character. You got to know the people. Now you're invested. Some Hollywood is long forgotten. You're like, dang, now I even care more that these people get out. And so some other things happened. There was an element of the Warriors. Uh, if you remember that old cult classic in the 70s, like because it's like Escape from New York, and the Warriors got to battle their way down back to their home turf. These guys are trying to battle their way out of a town. So there's some elements. It was pretty, and I was like, all right, so far it's pretty believable. Towards the end scene, where of course it's a shoot 'em up scene, that's where I'm like, you lost me a little bit, kind of like on John Wick 4, falling down the stairs. Like, okay, gravity doesn't work that way. But Chris Helm's bullets magically all find their mark. Um, he gets wounded mortally, yet survives. I'm like, how did you take one in the back and you keep on going? How'd you not know to look out for it? There's just it gets a little sloppy. Gets a little sloppy. Then Chris Helm takes one in the neck. I'm like, well, that's no doctor, but I think that's important. I think that's your aorta. I think that's pretty critical for your brain, isn't it? The brain needs blood, right? Again, I got a C in biology because my teacher was actually my biology teacher was a dick, and I'm glad he's dead now because he was old and miserable. Yeah, he wasted his life being a teacher. Look at that guy over there. What a sucker. That's how you did it, huh? All right, good. You're dead now. But the movie was so well received, and I don't know if they were playing it like, all right, he's gonna get shot in the neck. And then maybe he dies, maybe he doesn't. So maybe they had the foresight, like, this is pretty good what we created here. Maybe we shouldn't kill him off. Maybe we should leave it possible. And that's why I was like, that was my biggest complaint. But if you ignore that, if you ignore these, I'm gonna call them minor criticisms. They're mediocre, medium criticisms. But it was still, especially in the backdrop of the utter filth and worthless lowbrow crap that Hollywood makes. I was like, that's a damn good movie. That was a very good movie. And so the criticism I had of Extraction 1, it could have been so much better. Look, you got enough action, okay? You got enough action. You don't need to make it where he gets all effed up and would likely die but magically survives. I think everyone is sick of that. I guess what the health packs they came out with on Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I guess it's like maybe the John McClane rule. Like Bruce Willis's character in Die Hard took a lot of punishment, but I think aside from his foot getting cut up, I think the worst is he caught a bullet in his shoulder, or it grazed him. No bone or clean exit. He could survive. It's possible. You don't throw me out of it. Well, all of a sudden, right off the bat, by the way, I'm not ruining anything. They do a pre-show, or they show you almost the end of the movie, and he takes one in the back, and he keeps on going. I'm like, all right, look, that wasn't necessary. It wasn't. and you had something that would have been like pushing a 9.5 or 10. Now it's down to an 8.5. I don't know who comes up with this that the heroes have got to be immortal. Like Sisu. If you've watched Sisu, it's ludicrous. And I think what part of they would argue with Sisu is that the character there was immortal. Yeah, he's human. Yeah, he takes damage. Yeah, he's in a lot of pain, but you just can't kill this guy. And at the end, I'm by the way ruining it. You're not missing much of anything. Sisu is all right. He survives a plane crash, and again, not a skidding plane crash, one that goes straight down, and he walks away from it. Well, okay, so now you're like, all right, this guy is unkillable. He's a myth. He's a legend. He's the angel of death kind of thing. So all right, we'll let it go. But that's part of the shtick of Sisu. When you're immortal, and okay, you get a 50 caliber machine gun gunning you down, and the bullets, or you do get hit, but you magically go on. Well, you just have to go pit with a 380, and you drop 3 guys because it goes through them like the Indiana Jones thing. All right, you're starting to lose the audience. And it's, I don't know, he took enough damage, all right, but you can't get it to the point where he'd be impaired. But aside from that, I'm like, all right, a good ice cream sundae without turd sprinkles is heaven. Manna from heaven compared to the turd sundae. It's just scoops of turds that Hollywood has been producing. So I was all right. Extraction. That's a really good movie. I strongly recommend it. I recommend you guys see it. It's worth the hour and a half. Extraction 2. Critical Drinker says it's better than 1. I'm like, oh, dang. He says like John Wick. I'm like, oh, dang. Me and the GF sit there having our coffee. She's like, do you want to watch a movie? Like, yeah, let's watch it in the morning. How debauched I am. It was raining out here. 4th of July, going to take a day off. Start watching it. And whatever I said good about Extraction 1 is flipped on the script now in Extraction 2. I can't count. I can't remember the number of things like that would never happen. It wouldn't even be a stretch under the John McClane rule. Like, okay, you could survive that. This guy is now Sisu indestructible. They also grabbed the girl like, hey, remember how we had you be a really believable character, like a smart gal who's a sniper, and like we got the girl. Nope, you're going to roundhouse chick cop show. You're going to beat up a bunch of special ops Croatians or Slavs. So that went out the door. The statistical chances, oh my God, what are the chances you have to save your wife's sister? Oh my God, your wife came back. Oh, there was that unnecessary talk. Extraction 1, Extraction 2, I think was a full hour longer because of all the emotional BS and family. They got Vin Diesel in on this. Yeah, you got to be about family. So you got an hour of family talk, which I didn't have time for. But the plot here, oh, jeez, right off the bat, they say, hey, did you like Extraction 1? Zip, let's piss all over that one. So they pull his corpse out from the river. They resuscitate him. He's in a coma for Lord knows how long. And they get him back to health, and they say, you're retired now, and his arm is in a sling. I'm like, why is his arm in a sling if he's been in a coma this entire time? All right, fine. So he goes to a retreat. They get him a nice little house in Austria in the mountains. And then a guy shows up, says, we need you again. Now, keep in mind, he's walking with a walker. His arm's still in the sling. I'm like, well, when's your bone going to heal up? He says, we need you. And he's talking to a crippled man. Well, I'm like, okay, this guy. And Chris Helm says, "All right." And after what is no more than a 2-minute 80s montage, very reminiscent of Rocky 5, where he's training in the winter to go against Drago. Uh, so he's splitting wood. Just takes the cast off, just takes it off, starts doing push-ups on his knuckles. And in 2 minutes, he not only did he go from the river to being in a coma and alive, in the same amount of time, he went from a cripple to now he's back in fighting shape. Oh, this is a lot of feces to swallow here. All right, let's see what happens next. So the extraction is he's got to get a gal and her 2 children out of a prison. Why are they growing the prison? The children are in the prison. What do they do? Well, because she is married to the mafioso guy of Georgia, not the state, the country. And he has arranged so that his family is safe to be in the prison with him. And there's a whole other thing about that. So she somehow got to the outside and says, I want to be rescued. My husband's a bad guy and controls everything for prison. He goes into the prison, gets him out. Now, this is all within the first quarter of the movie. So, there's going to be a lot more happening now. And just, it starts going to shit real quick. The little girl drops her squeaky toy. Like everything's going fine. You got 5 minutes with the electricity out. Got it. I think 2 minutes, 40 seconds go by and electricity's back on. I'm like, why the hell did that happen? That's not 5 minutes. He gets the kids out with the wife. Girls drop squeaky toy, starts making noises. Oh, what are the chances? And now they got a battle. They're like the whole prison is woken up. The mafia guy controls the prison. Everyone's going after this guy, and he gets out while defending 3 people, 2 children, 1 woman. You have gone beyond the John McClane. That would not happen. Not going to happen. They get out, or they get out of the prison. Now they got a car chase. And then one pet peeve of mine, because I ride motorcycles, they're all in SUVs. Now, I don't know if you knew this. SUVs have 4 tires each. Very stable, just like cars. And they're on their comms like, we got motorcycles inbound. And I never understood why they send motorcycles after 4-wheel vehicles, because all you got to do is go boop, and then you bump off the guy. Motorcycles are not stable. I don't know if people knew this about motorcycles. Generally, you got to shift their standard transmission. There's a lot of handwork involved, but not when you send in the attack motorcycles. You just take your gun. Motorcycles are bumpy. These are off-road. It's in the forest. And somehow these motorcycles, they have these motorcyclists like they get, I don't know why they send motorcyclists, but just to make it even more unbelievable, motorcyclists got like these magnet bombs. And they ride right up on dirt roads in a forest up against the SUVs, where at any time the SUV driver go boop, but they don't do that. And then the motorcycle guy just plants. It's not, just plants it on the SUV and blows up one of the SUVs. And then halfway through the motorcycle fight, they start realizing, hey, did you know we could just bump into these guys? And they take out the motorcycle people. And then it goes to a train. The race continues on to a train, which requires stupid. I wasn't in the military. Never been in a gunfight. But they get to a train station in an industrial facility. And instead of driving all the way up to the door, that they got to go inside the door with the bad guys chasing him, they'd stop in the middle of this yard and run to the door with everyone shooting at them. No one gets hit. No one gets hit. There they find a train. They got all their weapons and equipment. And they send in helicopters after the train. It is this absurd. If you're like, it sounds pretty absurd. It is this absurd. It is this absurd. And so there's mounted machine guns on the deck of the train's cars. And but Chris Helm grabs an M60, I believe it is, out of the crate. I'm like, okay, they would probably prepare for that. And he goes out, opens up one of the train doors because he knows the helicopter's on that side. And as that door opens up, there's a mounted machine gun. I'm like, why are you lifting the M60 out of the thing when you just go out there on the mounted machine gun? Again, I'm not a special ops guy. Never was. So the helicopters have mounted machine guns too. No one gets hit. None of the good guys get hit. And Chris Helm guns down, I think, 3 helicopters over the course of the battle on the train with his M60 machine gun. Meanwhile, and not only do the helicopters got machine guns, like big ones, there's 6 people each helicopter who got their own regular machine guns. No one gets hit. Girl fights off 3 Slavs in armor by herself, a lot of stabbing. And after that, because there were so many things that would not work, you lost me. You lost, and then this is the point where I'm like, wow, this has the potential to be a multi-billion-dollar thing to, oh, they pissed it away. They squandered it. They did. This could have been like a John Wick. And I have my problems with John Wick, notably 3 and 1. But I won't go into them here. But after the absurd luck where you stretch it beyond the John McClane principle or whatever you want to call it, I couldn't watch it anymore. I couldn't watch it. And we still had half the show to go. So to give you the rest of the story, I'm not going to ruin anything. They make it out with the family. The bad guy, who is not the husband or the father, that guy gets killed early. This is the brother who's now going after his nephews and his nieces and what would be his sister-in-law because of family. He tracks him down with his team of assassins, and that's the other half of the movie. I didn't really pay attention to that half because it was so bad and so beyond the suspension of disbelief. I'm not joking. I paid my quarterly taxes because it's the third quarter now. I paid my sales taxes to South Dakota because it's the end of the second quarter. And then I uploaded a podcast on SoundCloud where I downloaded the videos and put together it's called the Makeshift Podcast. If I have some good asshole consulting requests, I put them into a podcast and upload for those of you who listen to MP3s and like if you're truck drivers and you don't like you don't have cell phone reception or whatever. So I put that out there. And that was that. And I kept asking the GF, I'm like, what is it? Is it unbelievable still? Like, yeah. The good guys' bullets have homing systems on them or something. All the bad guys are getting chopped up. Absurd, breaking the laws of physics. I saw one. He's hanging on a rail above on a skyscraper. And he's got the girl, and he's like, "Hold on," and he just throws her onto the. I'm like, no, you're not that strong. No one's that strong. Even if she was 90 pounds, that would take a lot of. You'd have to swing a little bit and then throw her. And just the fact they're up, there's a cliffhanger. Like, okay, I don't know. And because of all that, Extraction 2 is horseshit. It's not worth your time. And the fact they threw, maybe it isn't a full hour, but you got 45 minutes of family. They try to build up a drama. His wife comes back. He sees her again. They talk about the kid. I'm like, oh, here comes. He just took that rag and squeezed out all the vagina juice over it. And we couldn't just have a straight shoot 'em up. You couldn't. All you had to do was make it believable how much damage people could take. And if you couldn't have that much, just scale down the number of guys going after them. No roundhouse kicking chick cop show and get rid of the family. It's such a simple formula. It's so simple. Like, Extraction 1 was great because you had the relationship between the kid, also his bodyguard, which is another amazing character in that movie. You did good. That was enough character development. And this were turned into a soap opera with an impossible, constantly running gun battle and car, plane, helicopter. No. And so now, unfortunately, what seemed to be like, yeah, he could get, as long as Chris Helms stayed in shape. Oh, they got Idris Elba, Idris- UK actor. He's good. Like, okay, you could churn these out. You could have Jack Reacher. You could have 7 of these, and if you just followed the formula, hang on, you could even make more. How much? What the hell's the Vin Diesel movie? Fast, not fat. Fast and Furious franchise made $1.239 billion in profits. Oh yeah, these are all the sales. The Fate of the Furious made altogether $7 billion. I'm not joking. This had the potential to make $7 billion. I'm going to guess that's profits. 7 billion. You started on TV, Netflix. You could have made bank. And you went back and you effed with the formula. You had Kentucky Fried Chicken with the 11 herbs and spices. You said, let's add ketchup. Let's add crap like all the other movies before. And now it's gone. Maybe now they're coming out with the third. I'm not going to go see the third. I don't have time to see the third. You don't have time to see the third. We only have enough life expectancy and free time and days off to see one. The rest of it is dog shit. Unless 3 redeems itself with bringing a little bit of reality back in, where not everyone just magically lives, where you're not Sisu immortals. It's not, start making movies for men with IQ, men, not women, men with IQs of 105 and higher. I'm not saying it has to be Oppenheimer. I'm not saying it has to be Casablanca. But when I see machine gun, 3 helicopters, no one takes a bullet. No one. Okay, have your kids, have you, and the younger boys aren't going to watch. I don't know. Are they going to watch it? Are they even into violence anymore? You're gonna no, yeah, it's impossible. Because why have a movie if it's not going to be at least somewhat realistic? Why have a movie? Because they could just magically fly around and bullets don't affect that. Okay, fine. Then I don't want to see it because it's like, well, he's going to live. There's nothing. And then what was it? Someone there, is it Endymion? He says, and then they have a scene to get women to watch it or something like that, where I don't care about the family. The statistically unlikely chance that, oh yeah, and then he meets his family. Oh my God, what are the chances? So there you go. Any super chats? One Hatton Clock, but Cappy, the people need the student loan forgiveness. Disney is a family company. New Indiana Jones movie is great for you, Cappy. Howdy. Yeah, isn't that nice? That just bombed. I don't know why Disney don't fire Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, and people are speculating, like, she must have a tremendous amount of dirt on a bunch of people in Hollywood, because that woman has just destroyed the franchise and cost that firm a lot of money. That is such a bad. What are you going to give her more budget? You going to give her more money to lose even more? All right, there you guys go. More on the way this afternoon. I'll see you guys later. Toodles.